Do you love me?
I'm trying to protect you.
Do you love me?
I cannot. We cannot. This conversation isn't. I cannot do this.
Do you love me?
I never wanted to marry.
Love me?
Season 2 of Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, might actually happen, and honestly, there's a lot to unpack if it does. Even though Shonda Rhimes hinted that the prequel series might not go beyond its first season, fans haven't stopped talking about what could come next. And really, when you think about it, the idea of a continuation is exciting because the story of Queen Charlotte and King George III was powerful, emotional, and full of characters who still have so much potential. So while Shonda herself seems cautious about telling a story that doesn't need to be told, the door is definitely still open, and that's enough to get everyone buzzing. Now, it's important to remember who we're talking about here. Shonda Rhimes has been a major force in television for decades. Since the 1990s, she's been behind some of the most iconic shows we've ever seen. Her big breakthrough came with Grey's Anatomy back in 2005, and it hasn't slowed down since. Because of her creative vision, we've had everything from hospital drama to romantic period pieces, all of which continue to draw loyal audiences. So when she entered Julia Quinn's world of romance novels with Bridgerton in 2020, it wasn't a surprise that it became a huge hit. By now, there are already 2 seasons of Bridgerton streaming on Netflix, with season 3 just around the corner. On top of that, Shonda took a creative leap in 2023 with Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, a spin-off that works as a prequel. This series dove into the love story between a young Queen Charlotte and King George, giving fans both romance and heartbreak, while also explaining how some of the key traditions and relationships in the main series came to be. And even though it wasn't intended as a one-off limited series, fans immediately started hoping for more. But here's where it gets interesting. When asked about the possibility of a second season, Shonda didn't say no outright. Instead, she admitted that she's still figuring things out because she doesn't want to risk creating something that feels unnecessary. And honestly, that makes sense. She knows that the story she already told about Charlotte and George was complete, but at the same time, she also knows the fanbase is hungry for more. So while she's being cautious, there's still that tiny spark of possibility that has people hopeful. One of the biggest concerns Shonda mentioned was that doing another season of Queen Charlotte might distract from the main Bridgerton series. And she's not wrong about that. With Bridgerton set to have 9 full seasons in total, including stories for all the Bridgerton siblings, Benedict, Eloise, Francesca, Gregory, Hyacinth, and more, there's already a massive workload ahead. Each season doesn't just retell Julia Quinn's novels word for word either. Shonda has added diversity, modern themes, and richer subplots, which means every season requires full attention. So it's easy to see why she wouldn't want to pull focus away from the main event with too many side projects. But here's the thing, just because she's being realistic doesn't mean season 2 is off the table. In fact, it's worth noting that she never said she would never revisit Queen Charlotte. She just said she doesn't want to force it. That leaves room for the idea that if the right story comes along and if fans keep showing their passion, there's a good chance season 2 could get greenlit down the line. If season 2 does happen, there are plenty of directions it could take. One obvious route would be to pick up right where season 1 left off, showing how George balances his struggles while trying to be a good ruler and husband, and how Charlotte navigates motherhood and her growing role as a queen. That's not only compelling, but it also ties beautifully into what we already know from the main Bridgerton series. Another option would be to shift the focus a bit and give more screen time to fan-favorite characters like Lady Danbury. Because let's be honest, there's a bunch of untapped potential in her storyline, and people would absolutely tune in for that. So while Shonda has a point about not dragging things out unnecessarily, there's also plenty of valid reason to believe that a carefully crafted second season could be just as successful, maybe even more so. After all, nostalgia and sequels are fueling so much of today's entertainment, and fans love nothing more than spending more time with characters they've grown attached to. And speaking of the characters, we can't ignore the cast that made Queen Charlotte so unforgettable. India Amartefio as young Charlotte and Corey Milcreast as young George were instantly beloved, bringing both charm and vulnerability to their roles. They even carried the weight of a story that was equal parts romance and tragedy, and audiences connected deeply with them. If a season 2 were to happen, continuing to explore their journey would be a natural choice. Interestingly, Corey Milcreast himself has been making headlines beyond Queen Charlotte. In an interview, he revealed that he's a huge Harry Potter fan and has even been campaigning to play Sirius Black in HBO's upcoming Harry Potter reboot series. That little detail got fans talking even more because it shows just how passionate he is about storytelling and iconic roles. He admitted that stepping into Gary Oldman's shoes would be intimidating, but he also said it would be a dream come true. And really, considering his performance as George, it's not hard to imagine him pulling it off. That bit of news connects in a fun way to both Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte because it shows how much recognition these actors are starting to get thanks to Shonda's projects. The prequel gave Corey a chance to shine in his first major television role, and now he's being considered for legendary characters. That kind of rising star power only adds to the reasons why a season 2 of Queen Charlotte would be exciting. Fans would get to see these talented actors continue to grow in roles they already excel at. So what does all this mean for the future of the Bridgerton universe? Honestly, it means the possibilities are endless. On the other hand, Shonda is being careful not to stretch things out too thin, which is actually a smart move because it ensures the quality of every project she puts her name on. On the other hand, the demand is clearly there, and Netflix knows how much audiences love both Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte. Because of that, it wouldn't be surprising at all if season 2 does eventually get announced, even if it takes a little while. And even though some people worry that a second season might not match the magic of the first, it's worth pointing out that Shonda has proven time and time again that she knows how to expand a story in ways that feel fresh. Grey's Anatomy, for example, has been running for nearly 20 years and still finds ways to keep people hooked. So if anyone can make Queen Charlotte Season 2 work without diluting the main series, it's her. In the end, whether or not Season 2 happens right away, fans of period romance are in a great spot. With Bridgerton Season 3 on the horizon and several more seasons already planned, there's no shortage of content to look forward to. And if we do get another chapter in Queen Charlotte's journey, it'll be the cherry on top of an already rich and entertaining franchise. So while Shonda might be cautious for now, the reality is that Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, still has a ton of room to grow. The first season proved that there's an appetite for exploring more of these characters' lives, and the audience's excitement shows no signs of slowing down. Because of that, keeping hope alive for season 2 feels not only reasonable but genuinely likely. And when it does eventually arrive, it'll no doubt remind us why Shonda Rhimes' storytelling continues to define television for entire generations. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.